So you're thinking about moving to Bend, but you want to know about the job market in Bend and in surrounding Central Oregon. Well, that's exactly what we're going to be covering in today's video. We're going to give you guys the current up-to-date speed as to where our job market is here in Bend in 2023, as well as where it's been, to give you guys perspective on how far we've come from being a small rancher and mill town to where we're at today in 2023. So if this video sounds like it's for you, let's start exploring the current job market in Bend and Central Oregon right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living, eating, sleeping, working, playing, the job market in Bend and Central Oregon, then subscribe to the channel and tap that notification bell below so you can be the first to know about the current market here in Bend, Oregon. My name's Ryan and I've lived in Bend for over 30 years. My business partner, Zach, and I, we get calls and texts every day from people just like you, looking for help on making their move to Bend or anywhere else here in Central Oregon. Whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or even set up a Zoom. We'd love to be the ones to help you find that spot in Central Oregon when you make your move here. So like I said in the intro, we're going to be covering the job market in Bend. Now, Bend is about 100 to 110 years old since it incorporated back in the early 1900s. When that started, it was simply a mill town and a rancher style town. There wasn't a lot going on here. We're isolated on the other side of the mountains. There was no infrastructure, really nothing. The river, the Deschutes River, is what really people settled around, and it became that logging style town where we were logging, cutting logs up in the mountains and floating them down the river, and that's where they'd go into production in the mills down where the old mill district is today. And since then, things have changed. Bend became a destination, a tourist destination. Mount Bachelor opened up in the 1960s. We've always had great weather here for the most part, and shortly thereafter, a lot of tourist type business started to show up after Mount Bachelor did. So more and more people gravitated here. It eventually became very well known to where we're at today, which is not just a tourist town, not so much a mill town anymore, but it was a mill town for a long time. And then it became more of a tourist destination type town, which served and catered to hospitality. Some of the biggest employers in the area still remain Mount Bachelor, Sun River Resort, Eagle Crest Resort, there's Brasada Ranch, etc. Those are all resort style communities that cater to a lot of the seasonal traffic that we get, and they are catering to those that are here on vacation. But Bend is not just reserved for tourism anymore. We go way beyond that. So what we want to do is just give you some hard facts and give you some data as to who these biggest employers are to help you shape your understanding as to where Bend is today and where it could be going. So what I'm going to do now is share our screen, and we will take a look at a lot of the information here at hand at our disposal today to help you understand what's going on. This website here, it's called movingtobend.com. It's a fantastic resource for anything regarding moving to Bend, relocating to Bend, visiting Bend. There's all kinds of great information here. And so I want to give credit where credit's due. This is a great website. Melissa Gottlieb wrote this article here, and I believe that she is the proprietor and the founder of this website here. But she gives a great perspective as to where things really are as it relates to the job market in Bend. There are 5 primary industries in Bend that serve the job market here in the Bend and Central Oregon. There are roughly 100 to 105,000 total jobs. That's an estimate in the Bend and Central Oregon area. And the predominant industries are going to be as follows: healthcare and medicine, that's to be expected; technology, tourism, recreation, and hospitality. That will always be a big thing here in Bend and Central Oregon because it is such a destination. Right now, it's the middle of the summer, and we are seeing floods of people coming in that are visiting on the weekends, and not just the weekends, but also during the week as well. There are dozens of concerts. There seems to be 3 or 4 concerts a week right now down at the Hayden Homes Amphitheater, which drives tourism, it drives visitors, it drives all kinds of business, and it promotes job growth, but it also exposes people that have otherwise never been to Bend, maybe for the first time or the second or third time. It helps get that ball rolling. People begin to consider, wow, maybe I want to live here. They start to think about that, and eventually maybe a year or 2 goes by, and then they become serious about something like that, the idea of moving here to Bend or somewhere else in Central Oregon. Automotive and construction, of course, construction will always be booming here in town so long as there's people moving into the area, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. Bend is a very, very fast growing community, as is Redmond. All of Deschutes County really is in that, right? And it's one of the fastest growing areas, not just in Oregon, but also the West Coast, maybe even in the entire country. It is a destination. I heard somebody say recently that there could be up to 400,000 people in the Deschutes County area within the next 20 to 25 years. Don't know how accurate that estimate is, but like everything else, it's all speculation. You never know. You just never know. Okay, next up, startups. Okay, we have a tech scene. Okay, we have a startup scene, we have a tech scene. It's actually pretty exciting to realize that we're not just reserved for tourism and hospitality anymore. Okay, there are actually all kinds of startups. There's a very hot and budding tech scene here in town, and that is something that is going to continue to grow. We are right in the perfect position as it relates to location in between San Francisco, the Bay Area, huge tech area, as well as Seattle and Portland, two other up-and-coming predominantly dominant tech scenes up in their respective rights as well. But basically being on the West Coast, Seattle, San Francisco, LA, they're all just short flights away. We have multiple flights to each destination a day. And so that's what really promotes a lot of people that choose to work remote, or if they have that option, they get to choose to live here. And then if they need to jump on a plane to get down to their headquarters, if it's in San Francisco or up in Seattle, they can do that. It's a short flight. The flight to Seattle, typically 737s now. It used to be little prop planes, but it's a short flight. It's less than an hour. And then San Francisco is roughly an hour as well. So it doesn't take much to get to those destinations. If you are in the tech industry and your headquarters are in those big tech hubs, you can still live here and work remote. But there's also a budding scene that is based in Bend as well, which is very exciting. If you look at some of these companies, a lot of which I don't even know what they are or what they represent, but they're classified as tech companies. And that's what's exciting. We have that budding industry, which is tech and startups. You can take a look at some of these right here. This website, the siliconforest.com, Bend Tech Companies, they are up and coming. There are a couple of conferences each year that promote seed funding, angel funding. The Bend Venture Conference is one down at the Tower Theater every October, and that's a very exciting event, but it just promotes the culture and the industry of tech companies, startups as well. So Bend is up and coming in that regard. We're not just a tourist destination any longer. We are a budding job market. It's getting better. It's not as competitive as, say, bigger markets, but it's becoming that way. It's trending that way, which is exciting. So another good resource. This article came out not too long ago. EDCO stands for Economic Development for Central Oregon, and they compile a list of the top employers each year. And so that's what we're going to resort to as we continue this tour of where our job market is here in Central Oregon. So what I want to do is bring up that list. This is Central Oregon for 2023. This is brand new. This is up to date. This is where we're at with our current job market. So like we talked about earlier, in that list that we first looked at, healthcare and medicine, that's going to be top, right? Largest employers in Central Oregon. You can see St. Charles Health System is number one. 4,400 employees. That goes throughout Central Oregon. That even stems beyond just Deschutes County, but that could reach into Crook County, Prineville, Jefferson County, Madras, etc. But 4,400, you can see it's been pretty steady as the number one employer in the area for the last several years. Mount Bachelor is a seasonal destination, of course, over 1,000 this year. They added over 200 jobs, and they are adding a huge expansion to one of their primary lifts this summer. So that project will be going throughout the entire summer in hopes of it being ready. The Skyliner chairlift is going from a quad to a 6-chair starting next fall and next winter. And that will be very interesting to see how that alleviates a lot of traffic throughout the mountain, because that's a primary lift that goes right down the center of the mountain. Brightwood Corporation Building Materials, okay, another 1,000-person employer. And so you can see here, if you just scroll down the list, Les Schwab headquarters, that's actually in Bend, started in Prineville, but there is a huge community of Les Schwab and employees, employers, etc., that are all based around the Les Schwab company that started here in Central Oregon so long ago. Sun River Resort, okay, that's another seasonal destination type employer for the most part, but what they do at their peak, they'll have 900 to 1,000 employees, and then they'll typically lay off a decent percentage of those as we go into the fall and winter seasons. But but there are still plenty of people that work there full-time year-round. But if you continue to scroll down, what you see, Safeway, Summit Medical, another medical industry, Basics is a tech company, also an engineering company in Redmond, a very large employer. Actually, I think the second largest employer now in Redmond. But if we continue moving down, Lonza, formerly Bend Research, that's biotech. We saw the list of all the tech companies, and there are plenty more than what we just saw on that previous page. But we scroll down, we get to see a lot of the employers here and the number of employees that they do provide jobs for here in Central Oregon. So the list goes all the way down to 50, but this gives you an idea as to who some of these companies are and what Bend really is all about. Okay, if we continue on, this gives you more of a dilated or a list of Bend itself, as opposed to just Central Oregon. But again, it's a lot of what we just saw. Deschutes County, the city of Bend, U.S. Forest Service, etc. OSU Cascades. We just expanded the college a couple years ago from just COCC. Now there's an independent campus for Oregon State University Cascades campus. That's a 4-year degree option now. And so things keep continuing to grow and blossom here in Bend as it relates to expanding job markets and providing opportunities for people to find work, not just any job, but hopefully jobs that can help people make good livings, afford houses as time goes on. But that's also another topic for another video. But the point is that the job market is not just reserved for tourism and hospitality seasonal gigs like the stigma was in Bend, say 15 or 20 years ago. We continue to scroll down here. This is Bend TDS. Okay, that's going to be Bend Broadband. That's our internet provider. We can continue looking on. You can see the list yourself, but it gives you an idea as to who the employers are, as well as how many people they typically employ over the last 3 years. If we move over to Redmond, this is going to give you some perspective of Redmond, the second biggest town in Central Oregon, 36,000 people. Okay, and so what you see here is that the largest employer is going to be the school district, Basic Solutions. Okay, it used to be a Walmart building, and they acquired it and even added on to an existing Walmart building because that company is growing at such a rapid clip right now. You can see what they've expanded from 21 all the way to 2023. They've actually doubled in size, which is pretty remarkable. Continuing on, you see a lot of building materials in Redmond, more of a blue collar style town, a lot of construction, a lot of workers in that realm that live in Redmond. They travel all around Central Oregon for their job, but they call home base and their home headquarter base in Redmond. You can see Consumer Cellular is also a large provider of jobs. But we continue on. Eagle Crest, okay, that's a hospitality company as well, a resort style community 5 miles to the west of Redmond. We just put a house under contract out there. Hayden Homes Incorporated, one of the larger home builders. Okay, the list goes on, but what you see gives you some perspective as to what Redmond is and the jobs that they provide as well. What I notice when I look at this list here is that there's a constant uptick of increased jobs. It's typically going up, except for say St. Charles, but a lot of them are adding jobs. Most of them are adding jobs on an annual basis. They're not just stagnant and flatline businesses. They are looking to expand and they're looking to hire more and more people as the community grows, as people decide that they want to live here in Central Oregon and in Bend, Redmond, or anywhere else. We continue on. Here's Sisters, okay? Small town, 3,000 people, just to the west of Bend, about 20 miles, about 17 miles to the west of Redmond. It's on the way up to the mountains and Sandy Am Pass there. What you can see here, obviously a much smaller base of employers, but Black Butte Ranch, once again, this goes back to the hospitality and tourism. This is a seasonal area, but there's a lot of people that live there on an annual basis, year round as well. But they have a flood of new employees that they need to hire each spring to get ready for their spring and summer tourist season. But you can see up to 400 people is what they look to employ. Sisters School District, Sisters Coffee is a locally owned business, fantastic coffee. They are expanding on a pretty rapid basis as well, as you can see just based off the numbers of people that are joining the company. It's not just based off of statistics that you see elsewhere, but you could just look at the number of people that are employed by a company, and that gives you an idea as to how fast an area or sector really is growing. Sun River is going to actually have naturally have Sun River Resort as their largest employer, of course. 1,900 back in 2023, but you can see the Bend Lapine School District as well. And the list is relatively short with a small town like Sun River with so many people that live there on a seasonal basis. If we move over to Jefferson County, that's just to the north of us. Madras is the largest town in that county, and you can see here their employers, Brightwood Corporation, 874 employees, a very large builder, a manufacturing of building components. And then we have Jefferson County School District, Deer Ridge Correctional Institution is also located in Madras, and of course Warm Springs, that comes in at number one, tribal government, because it's so close to the reservation just to the north on the way to Portland and Mount Hood. So that would be Jefferson County. If we look over to Crook County, again, a blossoming area. Crook County's growing. They recently have had Facebook throw in their data plants. There's other tech companies that are following suit, and so that creates a lot of jobs as well. Meta Platforms, the third largest provider of jobs in Crook County. They've only been here for a couple of years, but they have 350 jobs that they've created based off of their decision to move to this area because of the climate and other reasons that made sense from them economically speaking. Les Schwab, the original location of Les Schwab, was headquartered in Prineville. They've since moved to Bend, but still a very large footprint in the Crook County area. Of course, the school district's going to be number one, but if we scroll down, what you're going to see some similarity. You're going to see the jobs, you're going to see the companies. You can see that a lot of them are continuing to expand. Each year, they're adding more and more jobs. They're looking for new roles. They're looking for more people to come help them work in their sector and in their area. So we go back and let's see here. We go back to the original area where the 5 primary industries are represented here: healthcare, medicine, technology, tourism, recreation, hospitality. Of course, recreation, hospitality, restaurants are very prominent. There are so many restaurants in Bend. It's absolutely crazy. If we look at this site here, downtownbend.org, okay, what you're going to see here are basically places to eat, consume some sort of food, some sort of hospitality business. There are 64 of them just downtown alone. Pretty spectacular. If you casted a wider net to the entire city of Bend, we have hundreds, if not thousands, of small businesses that all cater to food, beverage, drinking, entertainment, things like that. It's pretty wild to see all of the restaurants that are popping up. And what I do like about it is that so many of them are unique. They're bringing new concepts to the area. A lot of them have proven that they're able to withstand the Bend culture, the size of Bend. Some of them come in and they're pretty ambitious. They're out of the ordinary. I do love that about what we have in Bend. More so Bend, less Redmond, etc., because Bend is more of a progressive town. A lot of relocation, of course, and people bring their ideas, and a lot of those ideas are restaurant-style concepts that worked elsewhere. Wherever those people came from, California, Seattle, etc., Texas maybe, but they come here to Bend because of the lifestyle, the affordability. They bring those business ideas here and they start them, and a lot of them work out really, really well. But it gives us, the consumer, just a vast variety of any type of option that we would want, and so that's pretty exciting. That gives you some perspective just on where we're at, looking at the downtown map of places to eat or consume beverages or just be entertained. It's pretty remarkable. If we were to look over here, the brewery industry, of course, we can't leave Bend and the brewery industry out of this whole mix, right? Bend historically over the years, I know this list here is a little dated, it's a couple years old, 4 years old, but still, we are still right in the thick of it as one of the highest breweries per capita in the country. And this article here, a couple years old, like I said, is no exception. If we scroll down, this has been listed at the third most populated town in the country as it relates to breweries per capita. Pretty remarkable stuff here. And what this means here is there's 16 breweries for every 15 or 50,000 people. We're right behind Portland, Maine, and Asheville, North Carolina. I think Bend has been interchanged between number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 over the last several years. with these other towns that are up here. But look at the company that we're keeping when it comes to breweries per capita. So obviously very, very big deal in that regard. We already touched on the tech companies, but the point is, you can scroll through it one more time. The point is that Bend is growing. It's blossoming. There's people that want to move here. They want to figure out a way to make it work. They want to live here, and they want to make a living here. That's not just about retiring here. It's not just about remote work either. That's a controversial topic as well, where a lot of people end up just living here and working remote. That's no big deal. You can do that. Some people are like, okay, what's up with that? But the point is like, a lot of these jobs are coming here to stay. Employers, they want to have their home base, their business based in Bend, not just somewhere in a big city or a big hub and then commute back and forth. Bend is a place that is now capable of withstanding and supporting such business, and that's here to stay. As we progress over the next 5, 10, 20 years, I can expect a lot more of what we're seeing right now. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So with this job market and where we're going to be headed over the next several years. So hopefully this gives you a little perspective on where we're at in the job market. Bend is blossoming. It's growing at an alarming clip. We're over 100,000 people now, and we can expect to be close to 200,000 or beyond over the next 10 to 15 years, maybe even more so. But Bend is growing, and like we've talked about in previous videos, the cat is out of the bag. People know about it, and it's just like right now, even the last couple days, just Chris Stapleton just played down at the amphitheater, and the place was an absolute zoo of people. It was so crazy how many people ended up in Bend for the weekend for not just that concert, but for other activities as well. Bend is a melting pot of tourist destination, especially this time of year. But what that does is that brings people in, and they get exposed to Bend again, maybe for a second, third, fourth, fifth time, and the wheels start turning in their head. Like, maybe we can live here. How can we figure out a way to live here, etc. The job market's budding, it's blossoming, and that gives more people confidence as to whether or not they can figure out a way to make a living and not just be a visitor of this fantastic location. So I appreciate you guys watching today's video. I'm so excited that we are able to put this one out. This was requested by one of our viewers. And so if you liked it, please like it. Leave a comment in the comment section below. If you have any questions about what's going on in the job market, please reach out to us. We'd love to be that resource. And as always, we want to be the resource for you when it's time to relocate to Bend with your real estate needs. Please give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. You can set up that Zoom meeting. It starts with you guys. You have to reach out to us. We're not going to be seeking any other type of reach out other than just requesting that you guys reach out when it's time. We want to help you, and we'll figure out if it's a good fit, and that'll be that. So again, thank you guys for watching our channel. We're so excited that you're here supporting it. If you're watching up to this point, thank you again. If we don't see you on the next video, then we will plan on seeing you guys around town sometime soon. Thanks, and have a great day.